everybody! Hi every spirit, welcome very much to the channel. Today, let's talk about Sun in Cancer, Moon in Gemini for 2025. Thank you for watching, leave a like and subscribe, and let's get started. So the Sun is in Cancer, that means that we are creating new visions, actions, and expressions that come out of or can derive new emotions and feelings, new places of comfort and familiarity, new moods, and also new spiritual destinations and new spiritual purposes. Then we have the moon in Gemini, so we might be feeling the need or we are reacting and responding to associate in a mutable and adaptable way our logical feelings, or the way we logicalize our feelings, the way we logicalize the vibes and the feelings in the surroundings around us, and we might be reacting and responding lightly, logically, and in a cold way to ours and others' feelings and emotions, places of comfort, and the expression or the visualization of said feelings and emotions. So, Moon in Gemini can help us bring a lighter perspective and a more logical perspective to our feelings and emotions, but also might make you or others be or feel disconnected, far away, or even afraid of feelings and emotions, of spirituality and the real realization of your spiritual purpose, and if you are walking that path or not. Especially because the moon is fatal attracting the sun. So they are close to each other, they are in the same neighborhood. So feeling that lightness and that detachment about certain feelings and emotions, about certain coping mechanisms, about certain insecurities or self-defense mechanisms can help you get a clear perspective about your spiritual purposes, because the sun in Cancer helps us see that in ourselves or in examples in the world. So you might be afraid or just more logical about you seeing in yourself on the world if you are or not walking your spiritual path, because that's what the sun in Cancer represents, being able to see your spiritual purposes. And then the opposition, Capricorn, is you actually making something real, a career, a status, or a business. Doesn't need to be a company. Business is, or the very general term for business is, your daily activities that are profitable in a spiritual, mental, emotional, or physical way. So with the moon in Gemini, it will be way easier to have a clear perspective about if you are or not constructing first internally and then externally your spiritual purpose. So you might be feeling that's too much. You might be feeling disconnected. You might be running away, or you just might be dismissing certain spiritual truths, because Gemini opposes Sagittarius. So you might be fighting the spiritual realizations. You might be fighting spiritual expansion. You might be fighting spiritual truths, but at the same time, you, on a good way, you might bring more consciousness, more awareness, and more stability to said spiritual adventures, realizations, and truths, because that's the true power of Gemini, to bring logicality and the ability to relate in a very good level your own testimonies, your own spirituality, your own expansion, your own visions and imaginations. Because as a spirit, that's one of the main objectives when coming down here, is to translate to others and create together with others based on your testimonies, based on your visions, based on your spirituality. So, if we can't do that on a logical level, if we can do that on a social level, you as a spirit will always feel insatisfied. That's why it's very important for Geminis to accept spirituality and faith and imagination and illusions, so they can make sense out of it and make it real. And it's very important for Sagittarius to accept society, to accept common ways to communicate, to accept logic, so they can bring expansion, faith, and purpose, most importantly, to communicating thinking and analyzing in more logical ways. So, the Sun in Cancer can help us see in those mutable, detached, and cold reactions to emotions and feelings. The Sun in Cancer can help us see what new emotional cycles and what new spiritual purposes or visions related to that are we going on about, right? Because Sun in Gemini or Moon in Gemini, I mean, can make it easier for us to connect and reach without feeling too much, without feeling too overwhelmed, unless you already had that going on within you. So the Sun in Cancer can help us see, and then the Moon in Gemini will help us understand or make sense out of what we're seeing, out of the new expressions and actions that we are going through with the Sun in Cancer. So, Moon in Gemini, Sun in Cancer usually means the ability to feel lighter and associate in a more light and logical way the new actions, expressions, and visions that you are going through when it comes to new emotions, new feelings, new places of comfort and familiarity, and new spiritual purposes. And the spiritual purpose, I think it's the most important part because, like I said before, that's then what you mirror to create in reality in Capricorn. Spiritual purpose becomes something, a career, a path, an ideal, a goal, an objective, a limit, a boundary, or an insecurity. So the Moon in Gemini will help us feel lighter or detached about those new visions and imaginations, wisdom and knowledge derived out of the new spiritual purposes. Now, let's take a tarot card for today's energy. We have Sun in Cancer, 28 degrees, ready to go into Leo season. We have Moon in Gemini. Let's take a tarot card for that for today's energy. So that means that we have to have in consideration that today is Sunday. So it's a day where we're reacting and paying more attention to our own ego, individuality, what we like to be entertained, what we like to pay attention to, and our image and how we act on our own personal space and personal visions. And that is now being extremely influenced by new emotions, new feelings, new moods, new places of comfort, and new spiritual purposes. Then the moon is in Gemini, so we're feeling lighter, more mutable, more adaptable when it comes to being logical, social, cold, and detached about ours and others' feelings and emotions. And the tarot card for today's energy is Cardinal Water, the King of Cups. So this means that everybody today has the opportunity to be a great emotional and spiritual support. We can initiate new emotions and feelings. We can initiate new visions, new conclusions, and new perspectives that help us and others feel lighter and make more sense about ours and others' spiritual purposes, spiritual places of comfort, and new moods, feelings, emotions, imaginations, and new ways to obtain wisdom and knowledge. But you gotta be this yourself. You gotta support yourself first. You gotta bring new waters, new emotions, new feelings, new spiritual purposes, and then by using or being in the space of Moon and Gemini, you together with your surroundings or specific important people, places, and things in your surroundings, communicate in a light, cold, detached way about those feelings and emotions, about those new purposes, or just about new visions, actions, and expressions derived from what the Sun in Cancer is bringing, and then you can support yourself. And by an example, by association, you can support others in cardinal water, in creating new feelings, creating new emotions, or creating new clear feelings and new clear emotional spaces to make sense out of the new expansion, wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual purposes that the Sun in Cancer is bringing throughout this season. And now, let's see what's the best way to use this alignment to connect you to all possibilities and your spiritual true self. And that all makes sense. The Dragon Oracle card for today is the Black Dragon. So here, as you can see, it's protecting the plant. He made a little magical barrier. And this is actually very true. In spirituality terms, usually black is associated to your internal realm because we can see within ourselves. Actually, a very interesting fact, lizards supposedly in that first eye they actually have a retina and they actually have a lens so they can actually see within themselves, which is epic, but that's for another video. You really illuminating Gemini coming here to make me explore spirituality into scientific observations. That's for another video. Let's focus here. So the black dragon really means focus within your own realm, focus within your own progress, focus within your own surroundings, focus with your new emotions and feelings and how to associate that within and around yourself. Don't go too far. Don't think about the world. Don't think about organizations and what people in general can think or react to you. Be closer, be more local, more about your own space. But then Moon in Gemini makes us react and respond and be more connected in general to our physical surroundings. But in general, Black Dragon, in order to protect your seeds, in order to protect your garden, your fruits, and your bountifulness, focus in yourself. Focus in your own perspective, in your own testimonies, in your own wisdom and knowledge. Focus in your own value. A lot of people lose their value because they start comparing themselves to everybody, to the world. And everybody is unique, everybody has their own value. But if you're not focusing, if you're not being the black dragon, if you're not protecting your garden, you will not see your value. And then you can create mental structures to support you when in doubt or when challenged by the world in areas that come about your value and your ability to do the difference. For example, you might be a YouTuber or content creator in the same niche as somebody else, and you might think you guys doing the same thing because you're talking about the same game, for an example. And that's true. But it's also true that you talk about that game in a different way that that other person does. And that's value. The vibe, the ideas, the jokes, the perspectives that you bring are very different. Even if you say the same thing, that can go very extreme. Even if you say the same things, the way you say it and the imaginations, the feelings and the vibes that you bring to others are different. And that is the most intrinsic form of value. It's how you do it, not what you do. So, Black Dragon, focus in your own space to create new, to make sure that the new emotions and feelings, that the new emotional and spiritual support that you bring to yourself and your surroundings can be used in the correct way. For example, this can also mean to not try to support everybody else. Focus in your surroundings, in people, places, and things that are important to you, that have supported you in the past, that you have supported them in the past, that you shared a connection, that there is some purpose. You know what I'm saying? For example, family, but real family, not just like any random old cousin in 16th degree, but Sun in Cancer, family, people that are with you in the tough times, in celebration times, if they need some support emotionally, spiritually. You got them. Don't go too far. Don't use all of your energy and wisdom, but give them the hand. Show them, hey, I can give you something. Maybe they don't need to take anything from you. They just need to see there is somebody there to support them. But also keep the energy to yourself as much as possible. When helping, always give the necessary. Now, let's take a look into how this alignment is aligning the rest of the natal chart. Sun in Cancer, Moon in Gemini, and Venus is in Gemini as well. So Venus is fatal attracting the Sun. So through our relationships, through what we love, enjoy, and commit to, we can bring more lightness, more scatteredness, more logicality, more association, or more cold to our new actions, expressions, and visions derived from new spiritual purpose and new spirituals of comfort, spiritual places of comfort. And also, the moon is conjuncting Venus. So we're feeling more connected, more absorbed, and more attractive or attracted to our commitments, pleasures, enjoyment, and relationships in general. Then we have Mercury in Leo. Fatal. Oh, it's in retrograde. Gotta do a video about that. Conjunct fatal attracting the sun in Cancer. So we are thinking communicating, and analyzing in more creative, spiritual, and uplifting and egotistical, fixed, or stubborn ways about new feelings and emotions derived from new spiritual places, and Mercury is sextiling the moon. So you have an opportunity to bring more consistency, more ego, more uniqueness, or more validation and spirituality to our scattered emotions, to our connected emotions and feelings that are logical, intellectual, or about or connected with the surroundings or the world. Then we have Mars in Virgo, which is sextiling the sun but squaring the moon. So, sextiling the sun is an opportunity to create new emotions, new feelings, and new spiritual purposes that will derive new actions, expressions, and visions that will help us create or see more purpose, more value, more comfort, moodiness, or insecurity when it's time to be passionate, frustrated, and creative about practicality, organization, structure, profit, and efficiency in a mutable and or scattered way. Also, Mars squaring the moon in Gemini means we are learning how to feel lighter, how to feel more logical, how to feel more connected without going too deep, and how to feel more scattered without going too crazy about it when it comes to be passionate or frustrated about organization, structure, and profit in a mutable or scattered way. Because sometimes for you to expand, for you to connect, for you to be a part of something, you gotta be kind of scattered. You gotta be, you gotta have faith in the spirit, in your communication skills, in somebody else connecting with you, right? And sometimes Virgo can, just like Aquarius, I find a lot of similarities between Virgos and Aquarius very interesting, but Virgos can cut certain events or certain connections because they bring too much pressure, too much stress, too much activity to those areas. And Moon in Gemini can make Virgos nervous or can make your creativity, passion, and desires nervous because you now in Virgo, you're trying to find all the right answers, all the right details, all the right feelings to make you sturdy and efficient. But Moon and Gemini is like, hey, bro, actually, we got to open up a little bit. You got to be a joker. You got to be entertaining. We got to be logical but light. You got to be on point but quick. We got to be about something real but fresh and creative. So then you can bring that passion without taking all the energy away or without killing your image or your association and social skills. Then we have Jupiter in Cancer, conjuncting the Sun and fatal attracting the Moon. So Jupiter conjuncting the Sun, expanding our actions, expressions, and visions when it's about new spiritual purposes, new wisdom and knowledge, and new places of comfort in real life or spiritually speaking. And then Moon in Gemini is helping us communicate, associate, or just feel more light, more mutable, and more ready to associate in a logical, cold, and detached ways our new expansions, our new wisdom, our new knowledge, our new perspective and actions about our personal testimonies if we have new or an important spiritual purpose, spiritual destination, or spiritual place of comfort. Then we have Saturn also in retrograde in Aries, squaring the Sun and sextiling the Moon. So Saturn squaring the Sun means that we are learning how to bring more unique, more real, and more spiritually efficient routines and patterns, structure and associations to the new feelings and emotions, to the new spiritual purposes, so we can be comfortable, not just feel, but be comfortable, confident, and creative on an emotional level in order to accept and bring value, bring juice, bring matter to then create stuff with into those new structures. Because Aries is very creative and very spiritual, but sometimes they don't spend enough time in an area, they don't take care of things, they don't have that support and maternal energy. So, on the other side, with the Sun in Cancer, we are learning how to bring that care, how to bring that support, that patience, that nourishment into ours and others' new structures systems and support abilities that come from the spirit, that come from passion, frustration, deep desires, creativity, personal insecurities, or personal interests. And then the moon in Gemini is an opportunity to feel lighter, to feel more logical or detached, and also an opportunity to more easily associate and share in a balanced way the desires, the passions, and frustrations that are creating the new structure for you or that you are forced to go through in order to create that new structure or support system. So Moon in Gemini here can be really good just feeling lighter. You're just in a more clear space. You understanding logically through processing those emotions and feelings, the new challenges, and also the new rewards that Saturn in Aries can bring to you or that you can bring to yourself by using Saturn in Aries. It's always the best option is you use astrology, right? You are aware of the new times and you work with them instead of just being swayed by the events. But hey, a lot of these events are subconscious and sometimes you are on the flow and then you realize it and you gotta take it from there. You gotta steer it. Like in Nuzlocking, it's a Pokemon challenge. Sometimes you plan a lot, but then things don't go according to plan, and then you have to steer it. And astrology is mostly like that. You can predict things, but because most things happen on a subconscious level, and we only see those things when they actually happen, or when we start to get spiritually inclined, when that happens, that means it already accumulated. It means it already happened on the spiritual level, and now you must take from that point. So Moon in Gemini can help you realize those things, can help you realize from an emotional translation to the mental level, and now you, it's not like you know all of the little details, but you can logically process, you can communicate, you can see the new structures, the new desires, the passion and frustration behind yours and others' structure, networking, and association. Then we also have Neptune in Aries, squaring the Sun, sextiling the Moon. So Neptune in Aries, squaring Sun in Cancer, learning how to bring new comfortable, spiritual, and maternal actions, expressions, and visions to new feelings, insecurities, or interests derived by new perspectives of you being aware of grand subconscious subconscious archetypal or generational curses or gifts. And then the Moon in Gemini brings an opportunity for us to be scattered, poorly influenced, or logically able to process and communicate within ourselves and our surroundings those new perspectives. Like you might be aware of a desire or an insecurity that is part of a generation. And Moon in Gemini can help you make sense out of that. And when you communicate that to you or others in a logical way, there is an opportunity for you and others to be more open to logical communication about that. I also forgot to mention that Moon in Gemini sextiling Saturn can make you too open to spiritual new structures because you might be too logical trying to interpret the emotions and feelings, and somebody or yourself might be developing a spiritual, sentimental, passionate, or frustrated structure around you. And because you're being too logical, you might not have the right lenses to see the new structure that you are creating. That can be good because it means you're not bringing too much stuff to that situation. That might be bad because then you don't know what structure, what support system you are around of, or you building, or you're allowing somebody to build around you. Then we have Uranus in Gemini, conjuncting the moon, and fatal attracting the sun. So Uranus conjuncting moon means we are feeling more connected, more attracted, more scattered, or more mutable when it comes to accepting or attracting change, opposition, and rebelliousness that brings uniqueness and individuality in a logical way. So you might be experiencing or more aware of changes or rebelliousness within you or in your surroundings, or you just might be attracting people that are changing a lot themselves, or they need you as an example to make them feel comfortable or just ready or more logical or to be forced into change or rebellious energies, or you just bringing some freshness, uniqueness, and individuality into your personal space. And then Uranus in Gemini, fatal threatening the sun, means that processes of change, opposition, and rebelliousness in cold, mutable, logical, and detached ways can help you integrate, share, or receive the new visions, expressions, and actions correlated to new spiritual purposes, new spiritual places of comfort, and new moods in general. And last but not least, Pluto in Aquarius in conjuncting the sun, but trining the moon. So, in conjuncting the sun means that you and others might be misunderstanding new emotional perspectives, new spiritual visions, or new spiritual purposes about the new world, about the world transformation into a place where everybody can support their own unique, realistic, structured, weird, but still realistic mind, or everybody else, or they can support somebody else's unique expression and association of their unique, weird, but still realistic mind. And the moon in Gemini is a gift for us to be more mutable, scattered, light, cold, logical, and detached about the transformation of the world into this new world, into this new age, where it's going to be way more about uniqueness, individuality, being communicated and expressed in a unique, fresh, realistic, structured, and humanitarian way. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be everything for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and a whole bunch of individuality, creativity, and responsibility as well. Make sure to feel light today, or to protect spaces that make you feel lighter today. It's normal to feel a bit more scattered. It's normal to feel like you don't have really a hand on your mind. And that's great, because that can help you initiate those new spiritual process that the sun in Cancer is showing to you since 28 days ago. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for watching once again. Leave a like and subscribe, and I hopefully see you next time.